The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says it has declared a state of emergency on oil production. It said the move was geared towards increasing Nigeria's crude oil production and growing its reserves. Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPCL, Mele Kyari, disclosed this in a keynote address at the opening of the 23rd edition of the Nigeria Oil and Gas Conference and Exhibition last week in Abuja, Exhibition Week in Abuja on Tuesday. According to Kyari, a detailed analysis of assets revealed that Nigeria could conveniently produce 2 million barrels of crude oil per day without deploying new rigs. He adds that the war will help NNPCL and its partners to speedily clear all identified obstacles to effective and efficient production, such as delays in procurement processes, which have become a challenge in the industry. Still on the oil and gas segment, the petroleum marketers fear that petrol from Dangote Petrochemical Refinery may be priced higher than expected when it hits the market in 2 or 3 weeks. The refinery, with a 650,000 capacity, has struggled to source feedstock locally from international oil companies, forcing it to import crude oil from the U.S. and other countries at a higher cost. Now, this has made its diesel and aviation fuel less attractive to local marketers. Concerns were raised that the high import cost would increase production cost, potentially hiking the ex-depot price of Dangote PMS. Now, the company announced that the petrol would be available in the Nigerian market by the 3rd week of July. And now to discuss this, we're joined by Temitope Kolade. He's a senior manager and lead ESG and climate change services at Andersen. Kolade, many thanks for coming on. Let's get started right now. Given the reported struggles to secure local crude, how has Dangote Refinery estimated the impact on the production cost of their PMS, compared to the market average?
Okay, apparently it's going to be some sort of significant cost for Dangote refineries. Apparently, getting crude locally, it's a better option for them because it should ordinarily take care of things around logistics costs and other ancillary costs from moving things from one point to the other, and imports also. So indeed, it's something that one will think that we are in the midst of plenty and we shouldn't be going out there to import crude for refining in Nigeria.
Now, does Dangote have any plans to mitigate the higher import cost or even negotiate better deals to bring down the ex-depot price of their PMS and make it, say, more competitive with existing options?
I think they're already having conversations with the NUPRC, for instance. They're having conversations with the industry groups to ensure that they're able to get crude locally, and that's really the better option, right? It's one of two things, really. It's either you're importing crude or you're getting locally. So conversations are ongoing from what I've picked from here and there, and expectedly, if they're able to source crude locally, it would help to, manage the cost of production, and then they should be able to give refined products at competitive prices compared to importing from outside of Nigeria.
Now, let's talk about, the initial pricing strategy of Dangote PMS, right? How will this initial pricing strategy of their PMS impact its overall market adoption, right? When you consider the current expectations of Nigerians for a price reduction?
Well, the truth is I'm not privy to their original pricing strategy, but I would think that ordinarily, based on the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act, what we would expect is a free market where the market forces basically determine the prices of things. It's a completely deregulated market where they are thinking of getting it at the best cost, right? So the issue would be how much are we able to get refined products if we import into Nigeria, and how much would it cost if you are buying from Dangote? Apparently, if Dangote has to import crude into Nigeria, it may be higher cost for them. And to the extent that they have the import market to compete with, it makes them unfavored in that event, because the prices they'll be willing to give to Nigerians or even outside of Nigeria would be higher. So even if you get to a point where the market is fully deregulated. So that's really the issue in my thoughts.
I mean, when one is watching this and listening to this, one has to ask, right, are there any alternative feedstock sources or logistical solutions that Dangote might consider in the long term, just to help maybe reduce their reliance on expensive crude oil imports?
Well, when we talk about logistics, maybe we think of pipelines. Unfortunately, the refinery is located in Lagos, so it's a very tough one, I can imagine, for Dangote. If they were located within the Niger Delta, for instance, maybe I would have talked about solving the logistics problem. But again, the insecurity within that region is yet another reason why they may not have located that refinery in that area. So looking at alternatives, I will think that it's something that the entire industry and the regulators need to stand up to and see how they're able to solve the problem of production in the first place, to ensure that we ramp up production, we deal with the oil theft issues within that sector, so that, I mean, if we have more than enough crude within the country, then it's safe to say that Dangote will reliably be able to get as much as it requires to run its refinery, even locally.
Well, Temitope, many thanks for coming and appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thanks for having me.